Force of Will. Long time ago, people said, hey, Force of Will, dead card game. Well, what happened was Millennia of Ages came out, and even Force of Will has made several statements saying, we're sorry, we're never going to do that again. We have made tripwires in our offices, and if it gets close to a Millennia of Ages again, the entire place blows up. We know that isn't going to happen again. But the effects of that one set, that one expansion, has plagued the company for years. And somehow it's still alive, because it's just been a constant struggle to fix the game and make everything better. And have they delivered on that promise? Well, if you're an already playing Force of Will player, you already know the answer is yes, it's gotten a heck of a lot better, and the game is now so nice. It's so nice. If you're someone who thought Force of Will was dead, and you're just discovering this video, finding out, oh yeah, that game, guess what? It's still alive. I made an entire documentary on that one, this game too. If you want to check it out, I don't know, it's probably at the end of the video in an end card or something. But what you haven't known about what's been going on in Force of Will is that they've been slowly trying to make it to where it's still a cheap card game. They're actually very dead set on keeping that philosophy. They want the card game to be cheap, they want it to be affordable, but they also know that the secondary market is integral to card games. They slowly realized, hey, we need to fix this issue. And they have. They slowly made the game to where the secondary market, the really expensive cards, like the most expensive cards in terms of a lowest amount that you can buy, like lowest rarity, a regular rare card, the most expensive one, is like 10 bucks. Which, for a card, is expensive. I had some people in the comment section below of one of my other videos saying $10 for a card isn't expensive. And if you honestly think $10 for a piece of cardboard with ink on it isn't expensive, you need to reassess your life. Are you just swimming in money, honestly? Do you just burn $100 bills to light your fireplace? Who thinks that way? Who? Whatever. That's not what this video is about. They made it to where, I have it right over here, hang on. In this point of the game, Arrival of the Hero is one of the most expensive cards. And it's a very simple card. It just says, hey, prevent all damage to your resonators, or your creatures. Or, hey, destroy a tapped resonator. You know, that's a good card, and it's cost 2, it's an instant speed. It's great, but we all know that, and there's a lot of other cards that are in the $5 range, and that's what people really look for. They don't look for one card in one expansion that's like 10 bucks. They look for all the cards in the entire expansion and see the average price of all those cards. And that has slowly gotten better. Faith in Darkness, Mistletoe, Blade of Faith, Jeanne d'Arc the Mad Maiden. You can go on TCG Player and just sort by highest to lowest, and after you get through all the secret rares, and all the uber rares, and all the expansions, you'll slowly get to the $5 range, and see there's a lot of cards right now going for $10 to $5. And it's really nice for the secondary market. So, at least for right now, in the game, they made it to where the secondary market is okay. I can't say if people are actually buying the cards. I've been told that they are, but I haven't sold Force of Will cards in a long time because I hoard all of them because I still love playing the game. This video is in response to Rudy's interview with Jeff Finnegan. Jeff is the global liaison, or also known as the dude who keeps the other countries in contact and just relays information, because he's a fantastic individual. Rudy had an interview with Jeff, and it was really nice, and it's clearly that transparency that they do because they're a privately owned company, they're not publicly shared, and that means Force of Will has a lot of control with what they do, and they can fix things no problem, and they can make the cardstock quality amazing. Guys, the cardstock quality of Force of Will cards is superb. Can I just be honest with you? It's the best. It's literally the best cardstock quality I've seen from a card game. Now, they have also done something else in the expansions to make it to where it's appetizing for not only players, but collectors, and that's the secret rares. The secret rare cards are absolutely fantastic. This is my secret rare Mistletoe, And Mistletoe is one of the greatest cards in the game right now. It's just such a fun card to use and abuse. And the thing is, you get a secret rare one every case, I think, like one every 6 boxes. These go for $60 to $100 because they're fantastic. And it's a card that's, it's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's a secret rare and it's only in the secret rare slot. This is a card in the super rare slot, non-foil super rare, that you can get from any booster box. You can get at least one copy from any booster box, no problem. But if you're a collector, you're gonna try and go after the $100 version. That's going to influence them to buy more boxes, or that's going to influence them to just drop $100 freaking dollars on the secondary market. And that is just so nice for the game. So we have players with their new structure of the game, which is weird. I'll get to that in a second. It's really clever. It's caused a bit of controversy in the community, but it's clever. You have the collectors super happy because they don't need to constantly crack boxes to get the cards, the pretty cards they want. If they get the full art Mistletoe, God, it's so gorgeous, they're satisfied. If they get the secret rare Mistletoe, they either have one of the greatest cards in the set, or they have $100 that's just ready to be slapped onto the market. That's great. And what's even better is that the game right now is so cool. What Force of Will did is they made it to where the support is only for the structure decks. There is no J rulers in the expansions. You buy one of the starter decks at the very beginning of the cluster, and you build your deck around that. And all the expansions later on after that is just going to support those decks. And it's going to make them better, it's going to make them worse, and when everyone's kind of tired of it, new cluster, new starter decks. It's a steady cycle that works, and it's 2 clusters worth of starter decks, and there's 5 starter decks in all. So you have 10 different rulers to think about when you go to a GP. That's a lot more reasonable than people give it credit for. And now we don't need to constantly be cracking boxes in search for these $30 rulers, and we only need one copy of it, so like what's the point of cracking any more boxes? And it just creates this imbalance in the boxes and the sets, and it makes it uncomfortable for the players when they're searching for it, and it makes it uncomfortable for Force of Will when they're designing the set. And so they just made it to where, hey, starter decks, look at those. You can make an entirely different deck, a whole different deck, just with one expansion coming out. The power level of a deck can just skyrocket with one expansion, and it's still a starter deck. And I've seen GP winning decks, like top 8 decks, that still use the starter deck cards in the deck. They don't take the main deck and throw it away. They make it, Force of Will has been really good at making the starter decks a solid deck in itself. Like, their design for the starter decks has always been pretty good. And if it's not good, they at least have cards in there that are good enough to be put into a new deck. And Force of Will is able to have such control of what they do because of their private ownership. Any complaints we have is fixed pretty fast. Like, just say, hey, this is an issue, ban it. Whatever. Hey, this deck is not good enough? I don't know. Take a couple cards from the next expansion that we know will make it better, put it in this one, take some cards from this expansion, put it in the next one, bam. They can do that. Force of Will is in such a great state right now. If you left Force of Will because you're like, ew, Millennia of Ages is awful, man, you missed a lot. You missed a whole lot. You missed the Ascension campaign, that was great. You missed them getting rid of Uber Rares in favor of Secret Rares, which was a smart move. I actually never really cared for Uber Rares. I only liked them just because they were rare. Secret Rares actually have different artwork, and they're prettier, and they're full art, and it's just so much better. And I have 3 Secret Rares as of right now, and it's just so, it feels so much more satisfying. I never pulled an Uber Rare, except for that one expansion where the ratio of Uber Rares to not Uber Rares was skewed much more in the favor of Uber Rares. So that happened. You missed a change with the Global Liaison. You missed so much stuff. You missed Force of Will just growing and being better and reaching out to other YouTubers and actually trying to become one with their community, you know, become one with their community. And it's working. Like, the players feel connected to the company. There's not this wall in between us, like with these publicly traded companies. It's force of will, like, hey, let's do a live stream and let me just talk to you guys and actually answer your questions. Or, hey, let me just contact these YouTubers and actually have a conversation with them because they can. It's not just, hey, open this product, we're with you. Like Magic does with all these other players and all these other YouTubers, and the only way to really actually talk to them is to go to an event and see them in person where they can't run away. They can't close the window. I mean, Mark Rosewater does the blog thing on Tumblr, unless that's not Mark Rosewater and I've just been following someone fake. And he does that video series where he's driving to work. That's good, but it's still just a video. Force of Will managed to do something very different. It managed to make it much more personal, and they managed to fix everything. They managed to just learn from their mistakes, keep trudging on, and do everything that they need to. You missed that Caster Chronicles, their other game that everyone was also being like, hey, why are you making another game? You need to fix Force of Will. This should be your focus. You missed them giving it to another company and saying, you know what, you're right. Here, we don't want this project that we worked hard on to fail and disappear, so how about we give it to someone else? And Architect right now is no longer being done with. They're not doing anything with it. They're just keeping it in the back. They're putting a pin in it, saying, hey, when Force of Will is at a state where we are making boatloads of money, then we'll start getting Architect, that thing I pinned imaginarily up here somewhere. You missed that. Like Force of Will, the company, has just listened to the content creators and listened to the entire community and is able to just say, you know what, you're right. And they don't have any fear of saying you're right because they don't have stocks to worry about and they don't have shareholders to appease. It's just, you know what, we want to make a good game, and that's what they do. And Force of Will is a company, that's the reason why I'm a diehard Force of Will fan. They managed to do something that other card game companies can't. I mean, literally can't. They're too scared of their stocks plummeting. That's the most common reason why these companies don't admit fault. It's because it shows weakness, and shareholders would be like, oh, that's not a good sign, and they take their money out, and all of a sudden their stocks are plummeting, and it's an issue. Force of Will doesn't have to worry about any of that crap. And it's great. Is Force of Will fixed? Yeah, it really is. And if you've been out of the game, it's so easy to get in. Get a starter deck. You'll eventually just like spend, I don't know, maybe 30 bucks on singles that you need. It's not hard. And compared to, I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh, where you have, if you want an actually competitive deck, you need Impermanence and Cherry Blossom with $60 and $180 cards. It's stupid. Force of Will is balanced. Force of Will has learned from its mistakes, and Force of Will is still affordable. Force of Will is still affordable. They still have a problem with GPs. I didn't mention that. They still have a problem with GP attendance, which may be fixed eventually. I can't tell you yet. That's something that's coming up. But if you take anything out of this video, just know, if you were scared of getting back into Force of Will, you have no reason to be scared anymore. And the community's great. The community's still great because they don't feel betrayed by the company. They feel like the company's listening to them. And that's really why so many of these card game players with all these other companies get so angsty, get so hard-boiled. It's because they're like, hey, here's a blatantly obvious issue with the game we're playing. Can you fix it? And the company just ignores them for so long because they can't directly talk with them because they're too busy working on, I don't know, some corporate bullshittery. And Force of Will doesn't have that issue. Force of Will still has to, you know, run the business, but they have a lot more leniency, and it's so nice. And that's basically just my rant of how great Force of Will is right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave your ideas and comments and concepts in the comment section below. And share this video, you know, support Force of Will. I'm making Force of Will content. I mean, I'm trying to. You know, usually I just stick to booster boxes, and I just open that. Now I'm like, hey, I need to actually amp up my game. I need to actually show my support, because now that I am actually able to play it again, because I had a whole semester where I was just like, hey, I can't do anything, it's just school. Now I'm actually sitting down, building a good deck, playing it again, and I'm realizing, oh yeah, this is why I love the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please share the video. That's how YouTubers grow. Stay beautiful. Keep playing.